Remember when NASA sent a woman to space for only 6 days and they gave her 100 tampons, 100 tampons, and asked, will that be enough? 'Cause they didn't know if that was enough. These are our nation's greatest minds. They are literally rocket scientists. 100 tampons.
Hey, fun fans, it's an episode of We Enjoy. We are finally reached the end of our Child's Play franchise run.
It was fun, Matt. It was fun.
Good. It was great. And last week, we actually capped off the official timeline story. And this week, we're discussing the reboot and the main event. I also liked all the people writing in, saying either on Twitter or Patreon or email that, like, they'd never seen these and, they became Chucky fans because of it, or they were rewatching them again. I guess, again, is implied with the word rewatch, but, that's how my words are going to go tonight. We are the Mattitude Eric. I am Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hello, everybody.
Before the recording happened, which Zoom now gives at least one of us, only it seems to be one-sided, a notice when the one party starts recording the video and audio, so that you have to click that you
accept that.
You accept it, that you give your consent to be part of a recorded Zoom meeting. Before we did all the recording here and started the podcast, Eric and I were talking about how there's actually a plethora of movies to choose from in theaters now. It's not just, we start off small. There's like maybe one big movie to see in the theaters. And now there's options now. Options, Eric. A Quiet Place Part 2 and Cruella this weekend. Cruella, you could opt to pay more at home. And obviously that's actually financially feasible and better if you have a family and kids. It's cheaper. But if you're just going by yourself, go see it in the theater. See it on the big screen. If you're vaccinated, if you've got your double shots.
Yeah, even a couple, if it's as long as it's below 15 a ticket, they can still do it. I know that there's snacks and all that stuff to factor in as well. But I will say, again, I'm not trying to be a shill here. They're not paying me, but it's like, I have AMC A-List, which I've been using the hell out of. I also might join the Regal program because I have a Regal close to me, and there's a second one. There's a new theater
started famously by WWE superstar Steven Regal.
I thought you were going to tell me a real fact until that's how you ended it.
How do you know that's not a real fact?
It's true. But with some of with the AMC plan, I feel like I am getting my money's worth and then some with that. But what you're saying is, about how this weekend is the first time in forever that two big movies are opening. Because these movies have been playing for months in some cases, and then a lot of revival stuff that's playing in mainstream theaters. So last weekend, I went to AMC City Walk Universal, and I saw Stand By Me and Back to the Future back to back, and it's been cool, as a different kind of thing. But obviously now we're going to get back into actually big movies opening.
It was
a little more.
It's still not going to be. What'd you say? It was a treat enough last weekend that they released for 1 week Army of the Dead in theaters. I'm glad I saw it. I went and saw it in the theater. I could have just stayed home and watched it on Netflix. It's not good. It's not great. I'll say that. It's good. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. We don't need to get into the Zack Snyder of it all. I don't know if you saw it. I don't want to outrage. No,
I felt like I liked it a little more than the middle ground consensus, which is funny since I was pretty negative on Snyder Cut. And I felt I felt like a little bit like people were taking crazy pills, and that a lot of people who weren't Snyder fanatics were like, this is great. And I was like, is it? So I don't think Army of the Dead is great either. I just thought maybe it's just the mood I was in. I was like, yeah, that was fun.
I would not have liked it as much if I watched it at home on a smaller screen. I'm glad I saw it with all the loudness intact. The sound design actually saved a lot of that movie. Eric, I understand why he wants to make movies for Netflix, because they're not going to tell him to cut shit. There's obviously no Snyder Cut for this because they just let him put it all on the screen. It didn't need to all be on the screen, Eric. There are scenes.
it didn't.
There are scenes that go on for minutes too long.
Yes, he is a very indulgent filmmaker, and now he's found the place that will indulge him and anyone else who they make a big deal with. Anyone, actually, because it doesn't seem like anyone gets notes there. So
the Tig Notaro of it all is absolutely crazy too. That's the most
madness.
That's the most impressive thing of the movie is the post production addition of Tig Notaro taking over for Chris D'Elia's character completely. After he was written
and being a very fun part of the movie.
Yeah, like honestly, like one of the more enjoyable parts of that
scene
film.
stealer who didn't act with, she acted with one of her co-stars, but didn't act with almost anyone, including Dave Bautista, who's like, I'd love to meet her. Which is so funny.
It helps that the character was alone on a roof a lot, but still.
Oh, I mean, that saved them for the second half. But I mean, she has scenes in the first half with plenty of people. And yeah, Bautista in interviews like, she's great in the movie. I need to meet her, because it's like, just hasn't met this woman. But yes, that was impressive and a crazy, impressive and slightly scary thing about where the future can go as far as like I was having a whole conversation with someone about like, if they'll ever bring Brian back into the Fast and Furious movies and like how far they could go with technology these days. And yeah,
we're not quite there because there were a few.
No, we're not quite there.
You're like, oh, she's not with the rest of them.
There was the fuzziness.
There was this, but it was only a few. But yeah, his films just need editing. That's it. There was a way better hour and 45-minute movie within that 2.5 hour movie. That's just the way he operates, I guess. Indeed. Okay, moving on. Eric, I don't know what's going on with me in music. I don't know if it's just a symptom of oldness or whatnot, but you and I both adore Oingo Boingo and Danny Elfman and have seen them in concert multiple times. And Danny Elfman has a new album coming out in a few weeks, and he re-recorded and reworked an old Oingo Boingo song called Insects. And I didn't like the new version. I didn't like it. Like, so what's wrong? What's wrong with me? Because also, and I want to add this to the equation here. I'm a huge Mike Patton fan, as are you. And there's a new Tomahawk album, and I don't like it. So I don't know what's going on.
Ooh, that's almost the more surprising one to me.
Like, is it one of those things where I just have to listen to it like ad nauseum until I force myself to appreciate it, or I don't know. It just I'm used to it like to instantly enjoying it.
Yeah, I haven't heard the new Tomahawk, but I have heard the new cover. It's a cover of himself. The new recording of Insects, I should say. And it's not like I liked it more than the original, but I still liked it because I liked the song. So I wasn't like, ew. I just was like, it's fine.
That's the sound I made. I was like,
right. It's still so weird because he never got to do his Coachella show. So it's like, is this album going to kind of give us an idea of what that, because it was going to be like stuff from Boingo, stuff from his composing, mixing everything up. And I still kind of like, what would that concert have been? Is he still going to do some shows? And what is this album? But it is interesting that he's singing again. That's like a big thing to me, Matt. It's like,
yeah, that was the thing. Yeah. I wasn't going to that Coachella because I vowed never to go to Coachella again.
And I vowed never to go.
But the thing is, they offer Coachella now. Where at home you could just sort of watch most of the performances streaming anyway. But yeah, Eric, go to Riot Fest with me. With Faith No More and Nine Inch Nails and Pixies and all I
really want
bands.
to. I'm going to be doing a week and a half in Orlando right before that, which is why I don't.
So go to Chicago with me, the city of your birth.
The city of my birth.
I'll take you to the Chicago Diner, which is a great vegan place that has an amazing vegan Cuban sandwich. Okay.
And I'll take you to a deep dish pizza place that you won't want to eat at. But yeah, I'd love to do it. Is it believable? Is it possible? I don't know. We'll see.
It doesn't have to, the 3-day passes are all sold out. You just buy for a specific day. Okay. We should talk about the things we usually talk about on this podcast. Probably.
Sure.
You can find Eric and myself on Twitter at the Eric Goldman and the Matt Fowler. The podcast is at We Enjoy Podcast on Twitter, over on Patreon at We Enjoy Podcast. You can, for $2 a month, you can get a commercial-free version of this podcast. And also, you can write in at weenjoypodcast@gmail.com. No emails this week. We should note, we didn't note this right at the top. We are, for the time being, now that there are movies, as we brought up at the top, to see in theaters, switching our podcast recording day to Wednesday evening instead of Thursday evening. Now, we're going to get one less day of entertainment news, so we're sort of doing it midweek. Anything huge that drops on Thursday or Friday will sadly be missed by this podcast, but this is just because Thursday nights have now opened themselves up to screenings and new movie premieres and so on and so forth.
Yeah, this was my request to Matt, because it was interesting during the pandemic when obviously very few movies were opening. And if they were opening here in LA, it was only drive-ins as an option. They weren't doing Thursday night sneaks, like, the sneak previews that are just the movie opening Thursday night, starting at like 6 o'clock, kept getting earlier. It was like midnight, 10, 7, 6 o'clock. And they count all the money towards Friday to kind of boost the Friday thing. So they weren't doing that during the like middle of the pandemic, like very small theater openings. But now they're bringing it back, and Cruella and Quiet Place 2 are doing that. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to be going to the movies again a lot more on Thursday night. So that was my request to Matt.
And as I noted to Eric before we started recording, I'm tired. And he said, why? And I said, because it's the nighttime and I get sleepy at night.
Yes. And it's 2 hours later for you. I should probably keep that.
It is 2 hours later. Okay. So Wednesday nights for the time being, which means it doesn't mean I'm going to probably hurry and assemble this on Wednesday nights. I'll probably just drop it Thursday morning.
Look for it Thursday mornings. That's what we should say.
All right. Okay. Quickly in news, Amazon did in fact buy MGM.
Yes.
We brought it up last week, said they were they're working on the deal, and now the deal is done for $8.45 billion, which someone online noted is about what Disney paid for both Marvel and Star Wars combined, is what Amazon paid for James Bond, essentially.
It was also, I thought it was funny to read, it was Amazon's second biggest acquisition after Whole Foods, which cost 14 billion. So Whole Foods you can get almost 2 studios for the price of a Whole Foods, it turns out.
I'll tell you, that Whole Foods merger though is crazy. I order from there. Yeah. If I order from there or fresh, I go back and forth. It's a good deal. Yeah. So, as we can bring up basically, James Bond because it's the biggest franchise for MGM. They've got other things, but
hey, look, we might get a new RoboCop out of this, guys. We'll see.
Speaking of RoboCop, he made an appearance. We enjoy crossover event in our main event today.
I know. I forgot about that little MGM,
the little Orion-ness of it all.
Yes. Again, reminding you that Orion was purchased at one point by MGM, hence, yeah. So now Amazon owns anything that was Orion, like RoboCop.
And Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
Okay, this news just broke a few hours ago. I don't know how to feel about this. In general, the casting is fine. The whole take, because we're actually... we could mention this later, but why not mention it now? Next week's main event will be a double feature. Mm-hmm. Of Spiral and Cruella. Now, we understand that maybe not everyone who subscribes to the podcast is comfortable going back to theaters just yet, so we totally understand that. Yeah. We were always going to do Spiral because it just caps off our Saw recap, and we've both seen it. As mentioned, Cruella is available on Disney. What's it called? Disney Plus Premium?
Premier Access. Yes.
So you can do it that way, or you can go see it in the theater. But we're going to do a double feature of that because thematically it just works, right? No, I don't know why.
Sure. You'll be surprised.
Wait till I see Cruella and it's just filled with like razor blades and traps and
you hear dun dun dun.
People getting their fingers ripped off. So what was I talking about? Oh, Cruella, the movement that Disney and Marvel have both done, or I should say Sony's Marvelverse, of giving you a villain-centric movie and making that villain into either a less villainous villain or an anti-hero or a sympathetic villain or not even a villain at all. So talk about Venom or Maleficent, and now Cruella, giving them a backstory to sort of humanize them in a certain way. And it was already announced a couple years ago that they were going to do this with Kraven the Hunter, Spider-Man villain, Kraven the Hunter, who many people wanted to see show up, including the director, John Watts of Spider-Man No Way Home. In Spider-Man No Way Home, they were like, oh, can we finally, now that, Peter has a target on his back, presumably
he's being hunted.
Can we get a Kraven story? Can we get Kraven a part of this movie as the main villain or a villain? And he's a huge fan of Kraven. He would love to do it. We don't know how it's all going to play out, but there is a standalone side Kraven movie about him, an origin story perhaps, or however it's going to work, that Sony is making, that as the Sony Spideyverse will eventually merge with the MCU Spideyverse in, I don't know how they'll pull it off in No Way Home, but that seems to be the main purpose of that movie. And
also the reason this, and we'll get into, who's playing Kraven and why it confuses matters, because you also have the fact that Michael Keaton is in Morbius, presumably playing Vulture from Spider-Man Homecoming. So that's kind of the first time we're seeing like a character introduced in an MCU movie appear in one of these Sony movies that Feige has nothing to do with, at least directly.
And Morbius should have also been out by now.
Yes.
Morbius so we should have seen it. Like, these aren't being staggered in any like purposeful way. They've all been shuffled around because of the pandemic. So we should have actually seen Morbius already. Yeah. So we could have had answers for you as to actually who Michael Keaton is playing specifically in that movie and how he got there maybe, and what it means for the merging of these worlds, but we won't get that till later. But yeah, so Aaron Taylor Johnson, who just from the MCU as Pietro Maximoff, Wanda Maximoff's brother in Age of Ultron, Quicksilver.
Yep.
And was a huge topic of conversation just a few months ago during WandaVision, because the Foxverse X-Men versus Quicksilver, played by Evan Peters, showed up in WandaVision as a recasting gimmick.
Well, the actor did.
The actor, Evan Peters, showed up as Pietro Maximoff, not as his Fox Quicksilver version, but as somebody, as Ralph Boner.
Boner alert.
Ralph Boner. But yeah, Aaron Taylor Johnson was Quicksilver in the MCU, and now over in the Sonyverse, he's going to be playing Kraven the Hunter. Also, we assume he's using the same accent he used for Pietro Maximoff.
It's certainly possible.
Which was basically a Russian accent.
Yeah, it'll be a variation. But it is weird because of these Sony movies' murky place in the MCU, casting someone who was a very prominent role in an Avengers movie has another character in a movie that's not MCU, but maybe is connected to it, is a little weird. And it is funny that they just, they didn't have to use someone from the MCU, but they did.
The first Twitter response I saw to, I don't know what the casting item was on Twitter, like what news site I was reading, but the first thing was like, oh, Jake Gyllenhaal would have made such a great Kraven. I was like, it's still an MCU actor. Like,
right, yeah.
And this one's specifically from the Spider-Man universe.
Spider-Man, yes. I get that, it's inevitable. We've talked about this. Like, of course, actors are going to be in multiple comic book projects at this point, and you already have, like, Lawrence Fishburne in the DCEU and the MCU. But it is funny when you're getting this close. But hell, I mean, they even did it, they've had actors that were on some of the Marvel TV shows who then play different parts in the movies. So I guess we have to just accept that this is happening, but it's strange.
I think my larger conversation that we don't have to completely delve into is that I am a little increasingly wary of standalone villain origin movies.
Sure.
Like, we need these villains. These are cool villains. I don't want to like, you can give me something to make them, humanize them and make them sympathetic in the hero movie. I don't need a full movie that makes me like them before they're going to fight someone else.
Yeah. And it's weird because, because Sony, of course, they, at this point, I say only with Couch, they only have the Spider-Man characters, but it's a deep bench, and Spider-Man has one of the best rogues galleries. Like, him and Batman probably have like two of the best like groups of villains.
Yeah, those are the best competing rogues gallery. It's true.
But Yeah, it's like if you start making standalones where you're supposed to sympathize with all of them. And I'm not saying don't make them nuanced, but it's just like how sympathetic are you can make them. We'll it's a fine line, and so it's a strange situation that we're in. Now, I haven't seen Matt anything from this director J.C. Chandor, but I will say people seem to really love his stuff. He's another indie guy making his jump to a super.
What did he make? I probably haven't seen it either.
Let's see. He made Triple Frontier.
I saw that. It was all right. It was a Netflix movie. I reviewed that for IGN. It was just a Netflix movie with Oscar Isaac and Ben Affleck and all that.
Okay, A Most Violent Year.
You've heard me refer to A Most Violent Year when I talked about how dangerous it was in the 80s and 90s in New York. That's Oscar Isaac and Jessica Chastain.
You're all over this director. Like, you've seen all of this.
Hell yeah. Well, as long as he just makes movies with Oscar Isaac, it's fine.
Right. And a thing called Margin Call with Kevin Spacey, who we won't be working with again, Paul Bettany, Jeremy Irons, Zachary Quinto. So I know people who really like this director, and that's kind of
Kevin Spacey in Margin Call is being replaced with Tig Notaro.
Oh, wow. They're going to go back 10 years.
Yeah, they're going back.
Amazing. So I have no, I've never seen a single movie this guy's done, but I do know people who are very into his stuff. So we will see.
Which makes me believe Oscar Isaac, who is going to be playing Moon Knight in the MCU,
yes,
will somehow also be a part of the Kraven movie. In some
who
capacity.
knows? He'll play the chameleon. There you go.
His brother. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. In more Sandman series casting news. Okay, so Eric and I made a unhealthy and probably loose and unofficial pact regarding properties we need to absorb before the shows come out. He has to play Last of Us. I have to read The Sandmans.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. We don't really have an ETA on either of these at the moment, but casting is fully underway for them. Sandman has a huge ensemble. We already know about Gwendolyn Christie and Charles Dance and Boyd Holbrook and other people, but they just announced a whole bunch of new folks yesterday? I can't remember.
Today, it was this morning.
Okay, it all blends together. I get tired in the evening, Eric. Kirby Howell Baptiste is Death. Mason Alexander Park is Desire. Donna Preston is also Desire? What am I reading? I think that's a typo. Jenna, I need to look at that grid of pictures.
Donna Preston Coleman, is Despair.
Despair, not Desire. Okay, Jenna Coleman is Joanna Constantine. Niama Walsh is young Ethel Cripps. Jolie Richardson is Ethel Cripps, I guess adult Ethel Cripps. Natasha McElhone is the young Mrs. Dalloway. That was just for Eric. And David Thewlis is John Dee. Kyo Ra is Rose Walker. Stephen Fry, who we also, another Brit like David Thewlis, we also like, is Gilbert. Razane Jamal is Lita Hall. Sandra James Young is Unity Kincaid, and Patton Oswalt as the voice of Matthew the Raven. That sounds like a joke at the end, but
although Patton Oswalt just gets to be in every comic book adaptation eventually.
Yeah, he's MODOK. He gets it. Yeah,
he's in The Boys. He was his Gills.
Obviously, all those character names would mean something important to me had I read The Sandmans.
They would, although it's been so long since I've read The Sandman that not all of them leap out to me. The big ones here, Death, Desire, Despair, are the Endless, which are Dream, the Sandman's siblings, the other avatars for these sort of feelings and things we experience, especially Death. Kirby Howell Baptiste, who, I think most people might know her from The Good Place. She's in Cruella. So if you watch Cruella for our main event next week, you'll see her. Death is a very popular character. She's like heavily merchandised. She has a Pop Funko, Matt, and her brother and Dream doesn't. I should mention, I don't think I brought up Tom Sturridge's Dream. Yes.
Morpheus. Okay.
Yeah, he was already.
I know, but when I was mentioning the previously cast,
Gwendolyn Christie has Lucifer. But yeah, so Death was kind of a big. She's a very popular character, so that was one everyone was waiting for. But just the rest of the Endless in general, that's a big part of it. And then it's certainly notable that Jenna Coleman has Joanna Constantine, because you might recognize the name Constantine, and she is John Constantine's grandmother or great grandmother. And it does seem like they're changing it. They specifically put in the press release, which had like notes from Neil Gaiman, I think, about the casting. It's like John Constantine was introduced in Sandman, and then he became very popular, and he got a spinoff, and then he became a TV character. I guess he's not in this, and I don't know if was there a rights thing or a weird issue with DC. Not, it wouldn't be a rights thing, but was DC still didn't want to like have a multiple TV versions of him? Who knows? But his grandmother Joanna is now going to like kind of take his place in the modern day parts of it. Somehow she'll still be around. It's magic. You know, she can, and she'll still look like Jenna Coleman from Doctor Who. So that's kind of like sort of the most like geek-tastic casting is a popular Doctor Who alum playing this kind of female version / ancestor of a very popular DC character with Joanna.
The We Enjoy casting note here is that we Julie Richardson was in Event Horizon.
She was.
So, that's right.
So
we just spoke about her just a few weeks back.
Joanna Constantine is John Constantine's great grandmother. So there's your
great grandmother. Okay. Yeah, I'm still looking forward to that series. I hope it turns out somewhat slightly less of a mess than the American Gods project.
Oh, for sure. And you know, we can only hope, and then maybe they learn some lessons from American Gods. It's also interesting because I saw, Zach Stentz on Twitter today, screenwriter. He had his observation about the Sandman is it's going to be one of those tricky properties because it's a great comic, but so many things have already happened since that were influenced by Sandman. It's going to be like that John Carter thing of like, can the thing that influenced everything else feel like a fresh thing,
right? Because everyone's already done it and already been like they've already taken the rules established and bent and broken them in other regard, like genre wise,
And I think it's definitely possible if it has a cool feel. And one thing, Netflix, we talked about things getting kind of lost on Netflix, but they seem to be finding their, a zone here with this like fantasy stuff. Certainly The Witcher's has been big for them. And what's Shadow and Bone seems to be big for them. I
have not watched, but I have, since the last time we spoke, watched all of Girls 5 Eva on Peacock.
Oh, I need to watch that.
I've got one more episode left of Invincible, which is also very good.
You're now ahead of me on Invincible.
I am. I raced past you. Who's the Invincible one now? Me. Okay. Anything you wanted to bring up about the Eternals trailer, the Last Night in Soho trailer, or the Tomorrow War trailer? Eternals, I think the big takeaway, aside from the fact that Chloe Zhao seems to hate interiors and only wants to film people in fucking fields, is that the line. I don't think anyone was truly hating on it. There was just a light Twitter roasting afterwards. I joined in on it of like, the Eternals have always been there. They make a line in the trailer, which I'm certain gets expanded upon during the movie, hopefully, that they have a no interference policy, which means that anything bad that was happening to Earth all through the MCU movies we've seen, including the entire Infinity War and Thanos' obliteration of half the population of the universe, the Eternals decided not to get their boots muddy over it. Even though, I mean, would they have even been affected? Who knows? They're Eternals. I don't know what their rules are, but did they get blipped away or not? Meanwhile, it's just funny because the Asgardians are just interfering like crazy and have been for centuries on Earth. So
they interfere left and right.
Yeah, like it's not even just with Thor. It's just like way back. Like that's why the Norse culture thinks they're gods, because they were battling the frost giants on Earth a long time ago.
That they'll have to deal with that. I'm sure they will. I will say, Thurin, the comics history that they could ignore, or they might, or maybe they'll embrace wholeheartedly. In the comics, there's the Eternals of Earth, and then there's their cousins, the Eternals of Titan. And if you recognize the name Titan, that was Thanos' planet in Infinity War. In the comics, Thanos' people are the other Eternals. So I feel like if they want to, they could lean into we never interfered, and then one of our own, almost destroyed everything. So that could be part of the setup to this movie, but we'll see. What if they just, or they ignore it and they don't mention Thanos was an Eternal?
I mean, doesn't running your hand across like tops of flowers and wheat stalks like count as interfering? I think it does.
Yes, yeah. No, again, they do the thing that they're not the watchers because they say that we've been guiding humanity. So
they have. They do show them like giving them like technologies and ideas to build civilization and so on. The people also brought up online the fact that like this just happens in comic books all the time. It's weird for movies, so people might have to get used to it. But I think we just literally talked about it at the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier when I was like, why didn't Spider-Man help?
Right.
Falcon and Winter Soldier fight the Flag Smashers in New York City. Right. And it's just one of those things where
He's got his own adventures going on.
Yeah, why didn't anyone help save the president in Iron Man 3, etc. So
yeah, it's just off doing other stuff. Eternals, I thought it was a very beautiful looking teaser and intriguing, but I do think they need something more to grab as they go on with the ad campaign. The thing about the Eternals is I've never been that interested in them in the comics. Even the great Neil Gaiman, when he wrote a miniseries for the Eternals, it was okay, but it wasn't like Sandman. It didn't like, I wasn't like, this is amazing. So
what you hope for is like you take these cosmic characters that are a hard sell and aren't very popular. So if we're using the Guardians of the Galaxy model, but they spiced it up with so much funny humor and action and like
right.
They just made it so charming and fun. And this looks like the kind of the opposite of that, unfortunately.
Yeah,
where it's just not like. It looks very bland for characters that you really need to pop because they're new to comic fans.
Right. Yeah, they're very obscure, even to a lot of comic fans. Or to me, who has read two big miniseries for them, the one in the 80s and the Neil Gaiman one about 10 years ago, and remembers very little. And the things I mostly remember that the Eternals is stuff that was like when Cersei joined the Avengers, when like one of them went off and she was interesting on her own without those other Eternals.
When you and I had to write something for Miss Heller's history class in 7th or 8th grade, did you write about the Eternals?
I think I might have. You did the Inhumans, right?
Or did you do the Inhumans? No, I did Apocalypse and the Four Horsemen.
Okay, I might have done the Inhumans then.
Okay, that was it.
Because they were more interesting, even though of course they got a notoriously bad TV show, but they were more interesting in the comics.
So Eric and I like ripped off comic book stories and handed it in as assignments that for a.
Well, we were supposed to like create a mythical world.
Yeah, and we ripped it off and we turned it in. And to this day, I don't know if Miss Heller knew we were.
No. There's no way she knew.
No, because she wrote, Eric, I don't know if she wrote it on yours or mine. She wrote very imaginative, sounds like a comic book.
Yeah. I don't think that was a wink. I think that was just.
I think she was a super comic book fan.
She had the official handbook of the Marvel Universe. And Last Night in Soho, it just looks really cool to me. I will say, like, that's a better teaser as far as like, it doesn't tell you really a lot, but you're just like, what is happening here? You got some sort of like time. Is it a time travel thing? You've got a doppelganger sort of thing, but then she might be a ghost. And I'm actually just really excited to see Edgar Wright, who I love and is a great director, apparently drop the comedy. Maybe there's a little bit of humor in this, but certainly usually his trailers sell the humor. And what we were just talking about with Eternals, it's not like you have to have humor to make things sell. It's just Edgar Wright has been part of his vibe, and that doesn't mean
you do need humor in the MCU though, because of the template Jon Favreau that Iron Man created. You do so.
Well, also because I think it helps you sell the outrageousness of a lot of the characters.
Yeah. So he's going sort of Guillermo del Toro ghost story here a little bit.
Yeah. It looks very different for him, but it looks obviously visually really cool.
So it's got Thomasin McKenzie, Anna Taylor-Joy, who's just hosted SNL and was in The Queen's Gambit on Netflix and The Witch and the New Mutants and a lot of other things. Matt Smith, former Doctor Who, Diana Rigg, before her death, unfortunately, or fortunately for this movie. But
fortunately for the movie.
Unfortunately, she died.
Yes.
And and it's got a breathy cover of Petula Clark's Downtown, because you always need that breathy cover.
Sung by Anya Taylor-Joy.
Oh, is she the one actually doing her own scene?
Edgar Wright confirmed on Twitter that is.
Okay. So I'm very familiar, more familiar than you might expect with Petula Clark songs, because in the late 90s, when I was going to college in New York, I worked at a West Village coffee shop / bed and breakfast where the only CDs we were allowed to listen to at work were the Best of the Pet Shop Boys, the Best of ABBA, the Bottle Rocket soundtrack, and Petula Clark's greatest hits sung in French.
All right.
She recorded she did like a French recording of all of her songs for overseas. But yeah, I am very familiar with Downtown, specifically sung in French, but
I would not have known that.
Okay, Tomorrow War. I think it looks good. I would have seen it in a theater.
And it was supposed to be. This was
I know it was supposed to be, but I would like to have seen that in a theater with Chris Pratt and Yvonne Strahovski,
Betty Gilpin,
and what's his name from Veep, who's also in Werewolves Within.
I don't know who you're talking about because I was thinking about J.K. Simmons, but that's not who you're talking about.
No, the funny black guy from Veep.
I know who you're talking about because he was in.
He has a very ordinary name, and I think that's why I'm forgetting his name.
I don't remember his name, but I know who you're talking about. Yeah, a lot of good people in it, and it was one of those movies that Paramount made the decision to move a lot of their movies to streaming and confused a lot of people. Because
Sam Richardson,
because they sold them to other streaming services coming to America, and this one there was at least one other, I think, versus putting them on Paramount Plus. So it just seemed like a strange thing where it's like they didn't use these big titles, and they didn't, they could have launched with one of these titles coming to America kind of strangely enough, debuting on Amazon the day Paramount Plus launched, but not on Paramount Plus.
I'm not saying it's like looks like the best movie ever, but much like Army of the Dead, I'd want to see it in a theater. I don't want to watch it at home. I don't, Eric.
Yeah, it would be cool if they had a theatrical option. Amazon has done in the past. They've done some, but I don't know if currently. By the way, we should mention the one thing that they did say with the Amazon buying MGM is the Broccoli's, who co-own Bond with MGM, immediately put out a statement saying the Bond movies will remain theatrical. That not first of all, nothing could change with No Time to Die anyway. It's too quick. The deal won't even be closed. But also going forward, it's just they have enough control of that series to just be like, yeah, that is absolutely going to stay theatrical.
Is this the longest we've now gone without a Bond movie? It's definitely the longest we've gone without a Bond movie with the same Bond.
Yeah, okay, because it was 6 years in between License to Kill and GoldenEye.
But there was an actor change.
Yeah,
but this is the longest we've definitely gone between Bonds for the same Bond.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about Daniel Craig is he's now the longest running Bond, but he doesn't have the most movies.
Yeah, because they take a while to come out. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's leap into, we've got one message here from Patreon, and then we can get into the good things to enjoy. This comes to us from Mike from Aurora, Illinois. Oh, party on, Mike. That's a Wayne's World reference.
It is.
Yeah, Aurora. That's what I know about. Everything I know about Aurora comes from Wayne's World.
Right.
Been loving he writes, hey, Matt and Eric, been loving the Child's Play Chucky, and really all of the main events. It either gives me an excuse to check out a series I haven't seen, like all of the Friday the 13th movies, or rewatch a series I have seen and enjoyed, like Child's Play. I was around 7 at the time Bride of Chucky was released, and I remember the TV Guide channel playing a behind-the-scenes look at the movie constantly, which would terrify me as a child. The trailer alone made it where I was too afraid to go near a bathtub because I believe Chucky would electrocute me and put me into a doll.
All plausible.
I still feel that way, Mike. I'm still scared about that. Showers instead of baths because of that. Seed then came out probably at the right time for my teenage self to enjoy the more gross out humor of it. I love the film series ever since as I went back and checked out the earlier movies. The remake that you two will be talking about this week is an odd one for me. I think ultimately I liked it, but not as a Chucky movie. It was a fun slasher movie with a great performance by Mark Hamill that just should have been a different story, not tied to Chucky. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on it. Thanks for the hours and hours of entertainment over the years. Mike from Wayne's World Topia. So, we'll get into the Child's Play 2019 remake and just a few. But before that, we're going to give you 2 good things to enjoy. The first comes from Eric. Eric, what are you giving us?
I am going to do, let me make sure I get the year right on this, but I think it was 2018. Yes. 2018 movie. This was inspired by the Last Night in Soho trailer coming out that I would recommend, Leave No Trace. And the reason is because of Thomas and Mackenzie, because Anya Taylor-Joy is like having a moment. Like you mentioned, she just hosted SNL, and it was really the Queen's Gambit that kind of a lot more people know who she is because of the Queen's Gambit, even though she was already in Split and like other successful things. But now she is kind of a star on a different level and much more recognizable to people. And she's great. She's awesome in everything. And I've mentioned my love of Thoroughbreds before, which if I haven't made it.
Yeah, I was like, I'm surprised that hasn't been a good thing to
still,
enjoy for you.
It still will be at some point. But Thomas Mackenzie is much less known at this point, although she was in Jojo Rabbit. So people would know her from that, but I don't think that movie had, it was a success. It was an Oscar winning film, but still like not like on the mainstream level that like Queen's Gambit is. So if you don't know Thomas Mackenzie, or if you do from Jojo Rabbit, and I hopefully you liked her in that, you should check out Leave No Trace, which is a very small film in terms of cast. Ben Foster is the star. He plays her dad. And it's basically the story about it's modern day. And it's this military vet who is like basically has like severe PTSD. And he's like living off the grid because he just cannot handle society. But he has put this upon his daughter, who Thomas Mackenzie plays, who's now, getting to be an older teenager, but she is just, this is her lifestyle too. They basically live off in like, the woods. They kind of go into town and they like barter and maybe like take some stuff and go off, and they, they're living illegally a lot of times in these places, these areas they're not supposed to be. And it's kind of this, it's about basically his daughter having lived this life, but now should she stay with him or not? And what's going to happen with the two of them. It's a great movie, and Ben Foster's amazing in it. There was a lot of talk about him getting an Oscar nomination that didn't happen, I think just because the movie didn't get quite enough attention for that to happen. But she got
nominated a lot for Hell or High Water, which is also great.
Yeah. He's excellent, and I think you can kind of underestimate him, and then you see something like this, and it's just, oh man, this guy's fantastic. And Thomas Mackenzie, who I'd never seen in anything before this movie, she's from New Zealand. I think this was her first American film. Is fantastic in it. Has his daughter. These young actors who can just easily do an American accent. Damn you! No, an excellent film with two excellent performances. There's some other characters in the film, but it's really the two of them. Just the whole movie together. People brought it up with Nomadland because it does have the living off the grid similarity, but Nomadland was very different as far as like why they're doing that. It was about like recession and people kind of almost forced into this life.
It was homeless people. Yes.
Right. This is because this is so specifically about PTSD and a guy who just mentally cannot handle he is a broken person in a very much more dramatic mental way, not just like it's not like economic, it's mental that's caused this. Just a really excellent movie. I remember seeing it with Movie Pass, Matt, when Movie Pass was a thing. And it was a great Movie Pass. I say purchase, but it was free, but I would gladly have paid money for it. So you should check it out. And let me double check. I put where it's on, but it's a Prime. I believe it is. Yes, it is currently streaming on Prime. So
it sounds good. It sounds, I seem to remember a few years ago you tweeting about it and saying how much you liked it. It sounds like a Hannah, if she wasn't an assassin or mixed with a little bit of Hunter x Hunter. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, Hunter x Hunter as well. Yeah.
So where did you mention where you can see it? I forgot.
Prime. Yeah, Prime.
On Prime. Okay. Mine is...
by the way, 100% Hunter x Hunter reminded me of it too, in a good way.
But Hunter x Hunter is very recent. It's from December. But that might be on one of our main events and or good things to enjoy in the future. Mm-hmm. So mine is a Netflix series, and I'm bringing it up this week because there's so much quote unquote content out there and things flying at you and even news that skips past you, even for shows I like. I was not aware a season 2 of this show was even coming until this past week, which is this is not a hugely popular show or even a critically lauded show. I loved it and I recommended it. I reviewed it for IGN. I don't know if anyone else liked it. I can't remember if Brent, mutual friend Brent Simons, watched it or not. But Black Summer. So Black Summer is a zombie series that was sold originally. There's really no DNA present, but it was sold as a prequel to Sci-Fi Z Nation, which was sort of a zany, darkly humorous
Yeah.
take on the zombie apocalypse, which went for like 5 seasons on Sci-Fi. It's from the same creator. It's from Carl Schaefer, who is one of the creators of Z Nation, along with John Hyams, who is Peter Hyams' son. Peter Hyams, director of many films that Eric and I enjoyed from decades past.
And his son having directed 2 movies I very much want to see, which are the Universal Soldier sequels that people say are really interesting and good.
I also want to see from last year a movie that got great reviews called Alone that he did, which was like basically a 2-person movie, kind of, I think, where a woman tries to flee a stalker in the woods for the movie. Like that it doesn't star anyone except for I was gonna say it doesn't star anyone of note except for Anthony Heald, who was Chilton.
That's I was just like, I was like, he's got Chilton in it.
Oh,
man.
well, see, now there's an actor that my mom turns to me and says, "I know him," so she knows Anthony Heald.
There you go.
They all acted on. He and my mom and dad all acted in theater. So, my words fail me. I don't really know how to describe Black Summer. I know at this point, because Walking Dead's been on so long, the last thing people want to ingest is a zombie series. Although, look, we just had Army of the Dead. That was like a weird genre mix, though, of a heist movie with humor and outrageousness. Black Summer, like I said, it's not thematically or tonally connected to Z Nation at all. It is a super serious, for the most part, show, like zombie series. And it's just basically a zombie apocalypse is happening. People are trying to get to safety, and it starts in the suburbs. Everyone's wondering what to do. And it's the way that the show is shot, and there's a lot of oneers. There's a lot of one takes. It's also separated up into sort of little small bites, no pun intended for zombies, but like it's separated into little episodelets with like character names. So like it'll give you a character's name and you'll follow their story for a little bit, and then it'll shift to another character and you'll get that character as the title of that. And then when it shifts back to the characters again, it'll just give you their name again, letting you know we're back in this person's story. And they can range from a few minutes to 15 minutes or longer. Like there's no rhyme or reason to how long these little stories last, but it all really works. I loved it. It was riveting. Again, give it a chance. Season 2's coming. So I had no idea that was even in the works, but the only person of note kind of in it is Jamie King. Yeah. She's the only name I can think of. Everyone else is, I'm assuming, just a Canadian actor. So
nothing wrong with Canadian actors.
I mean, Ty Olsson is in the first episode, and he's been in a lot of things. You would recognize
in
him.
Canada.
Yeah, in Canada,
like Supernatural,
Supernatural. He was Benny the Vampire.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's just a really intense and fun zombie show. Like somebody tweeted at me when I did a tweet this week saying like, I'm so surprised the show's coming back. I loved it so much. And I think I did get with my review, because I think I gave it a 9. I think a few people did check it out. One person said, I literally checked it out because you said it reminded you of playing the Telltale Walking Dead games. And it does. There's sort of that quality going through this show. So I like it. I like it a lot.
It sounds good. I should check it out. And 2 other things I'll mention about it as I'm reading about it is it's interesting to note that it is produced by the Asylum, makers of mockbusters, most famously Sharknado, but also Transmorphers and all sorts of Sci-Fi Channel stuff. And they produce Z Nation, but this is obviously a very different tone for them for that stuff. And then also just incidentally, the whole Z Nation connection is strange. But they, according to this, what I'm reading here, season 2 will take place simultaneous to Z Nation season 1, Matt. And I don't know if that means some like random.
Oh, that's weird because
it's a time jump. They said it's going to be. Like
so I understand that, but in the past, when the cast of Z Nation or people were talking about this show, they were like, it takes place so far in the past that there's no character crossover like. Window that would make sense. But now if they're jumping forward, like I don't think there's like any super diehard Z Nation fans that would give a shit if DJ Qualls showed up on Black Summer.
It was on for 5 years. Someone was watching it.
Or God, what was the guy who was like the lead of that? He was a somebody at some point.
He was a somebody at some point.
Yeah, there was like a guy who was on Z Nation. Oh, Tom Everett Scott.
Oh yeah. He did that thing.
And Harold Perrineau lasted one season on that show, right. And then they left or got killed off. I didn't watch, and there went the entire star power. Although I think Henry Rollins showed up at some point, but
he did. I'm reading it right now, and Mario Van Peebles was in the final season.
All right. My recommendation is Black Summer. Whether or not you give a shit about Z Nation or not, it can totally stand.
It's part of the expanded universe, guys. That's what they're saying.
All right. Let's get into Child's Play 2019. Full spoilers for this film, directed by someone I don't know, written by someone I don't know.
And just a reminder, that next week, if you want to join us, listen no matter what if you want. But Spiral's in theaters, Cruella is in theaters, but was also on Disney Plus Premier Access.
All right, so we've got. I didn't think this movie was terrible. Mm-hmm. I think I do track a little bit along the line of what Mike was touching on or wrote about in his message to us, which is like, we are so invested in Chucky as voiced by Brad Dourif and everything he's brought to that character, the crassness, the sort of the streetwise, sadism of that character. And that's what we've come to love throughout the series. So this take on Chucky, and Mark Hamill's doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. He's a robot voice where there's no personality to the doll, even as he gets crazier and crazier. Like, it's just and I'm also not quite sure in this movie where the leap happens or why the leap happens between a malfunctioning robot that has his safety protocols removed into a sentient AI that is actually has its own designs and plans. And
because we don't know our other buddy dolls, because I won't say he's personality free, since he's so attached to the big change here, the interesting shift here is, instead of only being about exploiting and using Andy and faking him out a little bit that he's his friend, this Chucky legitimately wants to be Andy's friend, and will do anything to what he feels is protect him or help him, including murder. But are other buddy dolls that attached, and this one just, because it has the safety protocols removed, will kill people, and the other ones wouldn't kill people, but they're still that attached?
But that's the thing. It's they without the safety protocols, they will harm anyone who makes their child unhappy or hurts their child. But then by the end, it's like he becomes this maniacal Bond villain, taking over a store and this huge plans, like setting up like tableaus of like the mom hanging and stuff, where it's like it goes beyond the malfunctioning aspects into robot apocalypse in a way that I don't think they set up Buddy as an AI the way that the second half of the movie plays him as an AI. I mean, I might be just picking a little too deep here, but the idea is that he's a smart device that goes crazy, but by the end, he's like he has like a full brain with an evil plan. Does that make sense? There's a leap that happens. Maybe just taking out his Iron Man power core messed him up that much. I don't know. But so anyway, the voice is different and I understand why. Obviously, there's no human being in this doll. This is a robot, and also the look is changed. They kept the outfit. The design was tweaked. But it's tweaked in a certain way where the original My Buddy doll from the original what was the dolls for
Good Guys?
The Good Guy dolls were based on My Buddies, and there was a Cabbage Patch face type quality to them where it's like we lived through this, you and I, Eric. We know that
Mm-hmm.
these were hotly sought after dolls and that people allowed them into their homes. I don't buy for a second anyone would allow these Buddy dolls in their house.
No,
They look so terrorized.
They are
terrifying.
so when Andy tears open the packaging and that thing's looking at him through the plastic. I'm like, that is just.
It looks
like,
so cursed that there's
Right.
no way that would become like integral to any household.
Well, except for ironically, like some, adults maybe ironically.
It's just bought up by all the hipsters. Okay.
And I basically agreed with that email as well. So first, it's funny, Matt, because last week, or actually the last 2 weeks, you'd mentioned that you hadn't heard very good things about this movie, but which I'm like, because I think it was better received than I think people expected. Like personally, I liked it more than I thought I was going to like it, but I also think it generally was better received than people expected it would be. It has like a 63% on Rotten Tomatoes, I think, so it's actually in the positives.
I mean, look, I just recommended a series that only has like a 70 something.
Right. So, but I think there's a lot of the general consensus, and I know I share it too, is the thing that's most distracting about this movie is that it's a Child's Play remake. But actually, the most distracting thing to me is the fact that they wanted Chucky to, at a glance, look like Chucky. So he's wearing like a striped, the outfit is similar enough, and the silhouette is similar enough that that's Chucky. Where I think, like, man, if they just actually completely changed his look, because it's also this big leap of. It's a very modern thing. He is connected to an app and he controls like your smart home, but they make him look like this like doll, which is a big leap. And I'm like, man, is there just a completely different visual way they could have approached him?
He should have looked like a mini version of Chappie or something.
But I know that was a non-starter for MGM because they wanted to look like Chucky. Yeah.
So I will say that I do think, and you were sort of landing glancing blows at this just now, which is that the movie's strength is where it did try to do its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wisely, it did make a few left turns and try to do its own thing with Chucky. It's just that Chucky is so iconic and ingrained on so many people that it's hard to merge that iconic look with this plot.
Yeah. And then there's also, I should pause for a second just to, I've referred to this in the last couple weeks, but just talk a little bit more here about this movie, how sort of controversial it was for the fan base, which I realize is a cult fan base, the cult of Chucky, but the fact that it was happening at all, because we've now reached a point where these horror franchises have been around for decades, and we've now reached a point where multiple ones of them, Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, have done the hard reboot. And then they've undone the reboot with like, we're going to go do a sequel back to the old timeline. But that's not what happened here. This was specifically MGM, who only owns the first movie, saying, we're going to remake the first movie because we can, while Universal was actively making this series. They'd finished Cult of Chucky. They already were talking about the TV show. And so we actively have the current stuff still happening, but MGM's like, no, we don't care. We're going to remake the first one because we can. And Don Mancini and David Kirshner publicly saying how much they were pissed, to the point that they refused to have a credit. They were offered the executive producer credit that you often see has a legacy thing on these remakes. And I'm assuming they would have gotten more money. If
I was going to say, wow, someone isn't worried about their next meal.
So they turned that. They didn't want that. They did not want their names on this movie. I don't know if Mancini's name is like buried in the closing credits, based on characters. But so it's this fascinating thing where it was, and then it becomes like this battleground for the fans who are like publicly railing against this movie, again realizing that it's a small cult franchise, so MGM has kind of felt like, well, it doesn't matter, we can just do this, and we're hoping to get an audience who has never seen any of these movies, but they just know who Chucky is because he's popular in pop culture. But it was just a strange thing to come out because the TV show was already happening, so it became a strange battle of the Chuckies.
Do you think, just what's your opinion on this? Do you think that as far as horror remakes go, that it's just such a hard thing to do with a franchise that's had the same actor, like talking about the Nightmare on Elm Street one, because with the same actor, the same voice, with a killer who has personality, rebooting that as opposed to, well, obviously there was a Friday the 13th reboot that didn't lead to a whole new timeline or anything. But I'm just saying, like, it feels like it's easier to do it with like a Jason or a Leatherface. Michael Myers has the Jamie Lee Curtis personality of it all, so he's got a leg up. But like doing it with like masked silent killers is way easier, I think, or should be way easier on paper than rebooting something where fans get so attached to a very particular actor.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think we've seen it proven even as much as the fans bitched about Kane Hodder being replaced in Freddy vs. Jason. Freddy vs. Jason was a huge hit, so it's like because to the general public, to most people, even people who like the Jason movies, they can still accept I'm watching Jason because it's just someone.
They wouldn't have cared if they replaced Robert Englund for that movie.
That would have been a major problem. So yeah, you do have that. The more personality they have, it even happened with Pinhead because they made all those terrible straight to video Hellraiser movies, and then they eventually made one without Doug Bradley, and that was one thing that the people that were still sticking with these terrible movies were like pissed about. It's like well, no, we know Doug Bradley and his cool voice is Pinhead.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming with each of these movies, you're sort of shaving off good things with each success. Like with each sequel, there are fewer things to enjoy about it, and Doug Bradley being one of the last remaining thing, perhaps, and then you take that away too.
Right.
Okay, let's dig into this movie. It's a new Chucky, a new type of Chucky. It's just a robot. Mark Hamill, giving it his own spin. This is
that was savvy as hell casting, by the way. I will tell you that. I remember when they announced it, I think at WonderCon, and I was like, it was a
fan or not, like resentful of the movie or not, you're not going to boo that casting,
right? Because people are like, even if you're like, I hate they're making this remake, I hate that it's not Brad Dourif, and then you hear it's Mark Hamill, you're not going to be like, fuck Mark Hamill. You're like, oh, okay, I see it, okay. So a good job with that.
And just it's a different type of story, but there are still some of the blueprint remaining, which is that it's like a single mom named Karen,
works at a department store.
Son named Andy. They live in Chicago still, I believe.
I don't think they ever named the city, so it's not quite.
We still have Detective Mike Norris, like he's still there. Very different element of the story. Mm-hmm. Played by Brian Tyree Henry. We've got Tim Matheson as the head of Caslin, the CEO of Caslin Corporation, who appears briefly in like little video snippets. I assume if this franchise had gone forward, he would have been the shove it up your ass guy that eventually gets killed off by his own toys or something. But Tim Matheson just mentioned a few weeks back because he's in Fletch. Okay.
And a very pretty sequel.
Oh, God. Roy.
He's part of some of our favorite dialogue.
Roy Martin. Okay.
I don't care if you have to lie, cheat, steal, kill. Good stuff.
Stop whining. Okay, so
also I mentioned the kid who's a very good kid actor, Gabriel Bateman. They age up Andy. He's 13 in this. But Gabriel Bateman, you might have seen if you listened to my recommendation when we watched the Friday 13th movies on We Enjoy Wrestling. He was the star of the A New Beginning music video inspired by Friday 13th Part 5.
Oh wow! I just saw him in Apple TV's Mosquito Coast.
Okay, he's one of those kids who that's right. I just read he was in that, but he's done a lot of horror because he was in Annabelle and Lights Out, and I think James Wan produced both of them.
Well, he was also on American Gothic.
Yep.
Oh no. I was going to say that doesn't make any sense. Not the American Gothic I was thinking about, which was a different CBS series from like the early 90s. That wouldn't make sense at all.
He was on Stalker, the short-lived show.
Maggie Q.
Yep.
Dilbert McDermott series.
Oh, you know what show he was also on? A show you did a set visit to. Outcast.
He was the kid.
He had 4 episodes of Outcast. Yeah.
He must have been...
he's the young boy suffering from possession. There you go.
There we go. Yeah. Also, he looks like Patrick Bateman in American Psycho. So the Bateman name holds up. Like he looks like a young version. If they did, with all the villains now getting their like origin story, like sympathetic origin stories, if they do a Patrick Bateman as a kid, then Gabriel Bateman should play him. Because I am so bad with I'm dysnomic tonight. I'm so bad with names. Who played fucking Patrick Bateman? Batman.
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale. Okay. So he looks a little like Christian Bale playing Patrick Bateman.
Yeah.
Okay. These dolls are made in Vietnam. We go to the Caslin family.
With the worst boss ever?
Factory in Vietnam, where there's sort of this slave labor deal going on, and this programmer gets berated. As revenge, he removes the safety protocol from one doll, kills himself. This malfunctioning doll ships out and makes its way to Karen at Zedmart when it's returned because the person, the father who bought it, wanted a buddy too. So there is a new line of buddies that come to.
But you're also mixing it up with the fact that the woman who returns it says it has red. Its eyes have been glowing red. There's something weird.
Oh, I'm mixing it up. I'm reading my notes wrong. Yeah. So he's complaining about. He wanted the blonde one, the buddy too. Yeah. Separately, there's a woman complaining about a malfunctioning buddy doll that has eyes glowing red, which is it's a red flag, so to speak, for the red eyes. And Karen takes it, and much like the Karen in the first movie, not bought off of a hobo in a back alley, but she takes it to cheer up her lonesome, mopey son who is unhappy.
Although here he's new in town, there's like a more specific reason he's lonely.
He is, and I don't quite. There are a lot of mom decisions and choices that she makes in this movie that I don't quite agree with. One is telling her son to go out at night and play with strange teens in the rain. In a neighborhood that doesn't look like the safest zone in the world. So, yeah, just go out and introduce yourself to strangers. And it doesn't matter that he's aged up. It's just not a great idea. Another one is dating Shane, which is she loses a lot of Karen Barclay points for just putting up with this guy, because it doesn't seem like she likes him. It doesn't seem like he likes her. And it doesn't seem like he's even helping her out financially or with anything, to the point where like,
he's kind of a dick to her.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, you'd understand like if a single mom wants something because, he's good with Andy, or
it just seems like she's horny.
Yeah.
Like,
maybe that's it. Well, maybe I shouldn't fault her for that. Maybe it's just,
right.
You know,
we should also mention it's very interesting casting, because Aubrey Plaza never had played
and so they cast her like this on purpose, because it's mentioned in the script where someone's like, "Who's your sister?" Yeah. And she's like, my sweet 16 was out of this world, and she had Andy young, so she's just purposely made out to be a very young mom.
Yeah,
and maybe that's the commentary here is like why she's struggling, or who knows, but. Andy has a hearing aid, and he likes to draw different pop culture characters together as buddy cops.
Mashups are very popular.
And his cat is named Andy Rooney. I don't understand this Andy at all. I don't know what's going on.
Was it Mickey Rooney?
Was it Mickey or Andy?
No, I know it's not. Andy Rooney is the 60 Minutes guy. I do not believe.
But Eric, does one make more sense than the other? Are we really care what? My point is why would Andy care about Andy Rooney or Mickey Rooney? Both of them are super old guys.
He wouldn't care about either, but he didn't name his cat after himself. Is my main point.
I think he did. He calls the cat Rooney.
I'm Andy. This is my cat, Andy.
My cat Andy is my other cat.
According to the Child's Play wiki at Fandom, it's Mickey Rooney.
Why is it Mickey Rooney?
This Andy loves Mickey Rooney movies.
We don't even see him watching old Mickey Rooney movies in this movie.
Let's just assume he watched a lot of Mickey Rooney. Okay,
and Mickey Rooney wasn't in any of his buddy cop drawings. No. He didn't pair up Mickey Rooney with Predator, whatever. I would watch that movie. I have a bone to pick with this movie, completely stepping out of the plot here for a second. I would just like to say, as a cat person, that they would never have dared to do to a dog what they do to a cat in this movie.
Oh, no.
And I will not stand for that. Yes, they tried to say, the cat's a dick. And I'm like, I think this just feeds into stereotypes that cats are dicks and that cats are demons and they're trying to plot and murder you, that you see in all the stupid memes. And I'm telling you, Eric, I'm not having it, because not only do they kill the cat, there's torturing of the cat beforehand with like the near strangulation of the cat.
Yeah,
And
I will say that Andy does cry after he finds it dead. So we are meant to believe while he said he acted dismissive, he actually cared about the cat. But you were also right that they probably would never get away with this.
If he really cared about the cat, he wouldn't have named him Andy Rooney or Mickey Rooney.
Mickey Rooney.
Maybe it's Rooney Mara.
There you go. He could have had a crush on Rooney Mara and named his cat after Rooney Mara.
Or maybe the band Rooney.
All possible.
So, okay. He's new in town. We meet Detective Mike. So Mike Norris exists in this universe.
Whose mom lives in the building. So
mom lives in the building. Detective Mike comes over once a week to eat dinner with his mom. And then, so Karen brings home this Buddy doll. Buddy spelled Buddi.
Mm-hmm.
And this seemed like a hard sell here. I feel like there was maybe they should have taken a few more passes on this about how the doll gets the name Chucky or why. Like, give Andy a reason to name the doll Chucky. Instead, he tries to name the doll Han Solo, and just because it's a malfunction or a glitch or something, the doll's like, "Did you say Chucky?" And he just gives himself the name Chucky.
Yeah, that was weird.
I feel like there was a cleverer way to do that.
Right.
And then it's a while, but they actually don't say the Chucky's name a lot in the movie until like the end.
Mm-hmm.
But for a long time, they don't even mention him as Chucky. So Andy's a weird kid. He makes weird drawings. He names his cat weird things. He sort of starts to get friends though, because he has a buddy doll. So he makes friends with, I don't know, are they siblings? Fallon and Pug?
I don't think so. I don't think they're siblings. And
but don't they live together or no?
No, I don't think so. I think they just hang out. They hang out in the rain. I was betting anything because it's funny because I had written down what weird names Fallon and Pug are, and then right after that, when Andy introduces them to Karen, she says those are names, and I was like, I bet that's an Aubrey improv. That felt like it was like the writer gave them weird names, and she decided to reference the fact that they had weird names. But Fallon's
I hope it's an improv because there's a weird. It's weird when a screenwriter names a character a weird name, only to have the name called out constantly as being weird. When it's a weird meta thing for me, where why name your character a name that's distracting when all the other characters? So there was a Travolta movie. Was it From Paris with Love?
I don't know.
It was yes, From Paris with Love from 2010, and it was it wasn't directed by Luc Besson, but it was story by Luc Besson, and it was Travolta and Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, and Travolta's name was Charlie Wax, and I remember that he did that because he wanted to say wax on, wax off.
Oh, there you
Where
go.
it's like you name a character a certain thing just so that you can get in a weird name joke. I don't know. It's weird to me. Okay, let's get.
I don't mind that, but I think if you name two characters a weird thing, then yeah, her line seems like it was.
I know Fallon and Pug sound like T-Bird's minions in The Crow, so
they do. Fire it up!
Fire it up! Tired of this T-Bird's crew. And then, like later, the kid names his buddy doll Chode. That also sounds like one of T-Bird's crews.
And the buddy doll. We kind of skipped over the fact that I guess any random person working in one of these buddy factories can take off all the safety protocols, which seems like not a great security measure. But yeah, we then start to see Buddy kind of mimicking things like the stabbing motion, and like they what he's seeing.
He's mimicking things, and there's a brief moment when actually Andy is having fun with Chucky and playing games, and he's like, "This isn't so bad," and it actually gets him friends like Fallon and Pug and Omar and other neighborhood kids who are very much into, look, it's Chucky and he's doing stuff. That's kind of their hobby. They just go around and make him say things, make him prank people.
I mean, he is an amazing, he would still, if that actually existed, he does walk around, without being a serial killer embodying him. This is a toy you can buy that just can walk around behind you. without any remote or anything. So it is a pretty impressive thing.
Only in a movie. There's no way that that this would fly in the real world. People would just freak the fuck out constantly.
Right.
So yeah, he's learning things. He's like handing toilet paper to Andy. He's like, "Is this your book?" So the first warning sign is him, basically the cat scratching Andy.
Yeah.
Andy Rooney, the cat.
Mickey Rooney.
Not Mickey Rooney.
Andy and his cat, Andy Rooney, yes.
And then, so then Chucky strangles the cat and doesn't kill it at this point. But then he just gets off with a light no-no. By the way, that cat is now even more of a dick and traumatized. So
Sure.
And then the Shane of it all, which is that increasingly Shane becomes more hostile towards Andy. I think, I can appreciate the mom wanting Shane around because she's horny. She just wants some dick. That's fine. It's just that he is such a dick to Andy that's what like loses it for me.
Because she clearly cares about Andy, and he's like just openly.
And as growing up in a city, like I even mentioned with a few times talking about Child's Play, just growing up in a big city with a single mom myself, like you form this weird pact, like you and me, like together we're we're not friends to the end. I'm just saying, like she and Andy are in this journey together, and like for her to allow Shane to just not even going so far as to like throw him down on the bed, but just being a complete cock to him constantly. She should say something.
We should also mention that he learns some negative life lessons from when the kids are watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which MGM owns.
I don't think they're fully appreciating it. Like the way Pug is laughing, he's very much Max Cady. He's just like, "Oh, look what's going on here." He's not even looking at the screen half the time. He's just like,
I was mostly sad because they didn't want to pay for Oingo Boingo's "No One Lives Forever," even though they're showing part of that scene on the car. So we see a scene that in the actual Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 features an Oingo Boingo song, but we don't get to hear the Oingo Boingo song as they watch it.
But then Chucky would have learned that lesson that no one lives forever.
No one lives forever, and that sometimes people skin other people's faces and it makes people laugh. Are his main takeaway.
Well, that skinning the face comes up later, so he's very much influenced.
He very directly learns it from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Yes.
They want to prank Shane because Shane's a complete fucking fart clown, and they prank him with Chucky, and eventually I'm trying to look at my notes here, like what the progression is. Just things start to boil over between Andy and Shane to the point where Chucky has now decided that he is going. Does he kill the cat before Shane, or is it around the same time?
He kills the cat first because Andy finds the cat and cries because he did love Mickey Rooney, but throws the body down the
Andy Rooney.
And then Shane is next. Shane is the first person.
And up until the mom gets it, not Karen, but Mike's mom, up until the mom gets it, Chucky's really just taking out shitheads, which sort of follows the Child's Play franchise where, he takes out a lot of asshole adults.
But also we should mention as we move into like the Shane death, this is where the movie really, really grabbed me at the second half, because I did not know how crazy the deaths would be and how.
Oh yeah. So the first death comes 40 minutes into the movie, and you don't know what the level of gore is at this point at all. Like there's been no indication. We've gotten one guy jumping out of a window and landing on a car in Vietnam. But other than that, there is no discernible way, like, F-bombs aren't enough to like let us know that somebody's going to be fucking completely eviscerated in front of us.
That their face will be removed from their skull. So that was a pleasant surprise for this gorehound. And that I was like, this is pretty wild. That they decided to go for it on the left. I mean, even because Shane's death, well, first he falls off the ladder, and it's the thing where both his ankles break and like the bones snap through. So that's your first visceral thing. And then I do like his, like, the way he dies is kind of funny because he's holding that giant, whatever that giant equipment is. That
it looks like a thresher or a tiller or something. Yeah,
with all those damn watermelons. I do not know why this guy in suburbia is making all these watermelons. But
well, we only know that he had he was married with kids. We didn't know what he did for a living. He could have been like the watermelon king of Chicago.
Watermelon king of Chicago. Yeah, but he's trying to hold that machine back. But then Chucky gets on top of him, is going to stab him, so he pulls his hand away to stop from being stabbed, and that's how he gets scalped. And that would have been enough because there's a big chunky scalp thing, and then Chucky stabs him a bunch. But then your piece de resistance is when you find out that his entire face has been removed and head, just all the skin and parts have been taken off his skull.
Yeah. So it's good, solid A- death here going on, and
right.
Good riddance to Shane. This is for Tupac line made me laugh.
That was very funny.
Funny.
Good payoff.
Good payoff to that, as far as like, and it comes back a lot. Just like there's a lot of repetition of lines just because Chucky's a repeating doll too. So not only does he repeat lines that he's programmed to say, but he repeats lines that other people say to him. And I think later when he's killing the creeper maintenance man, he's like, let's open you up to see what we've got or something. So that works well too. I'd like to point out that the kids pranking people constantly with Chucky and just playing with him, they're referred to at one point as little fucking millennials, and I would like to state for the record, they are not close to being millennials. So this is just more of the generational erasure.
That is insanity to call them millennials.
I know.
They were born so far after. I forgot about that line. But then it's like the Shane death keeps escalating because then his face returns on top of a watermelon in Andy's room.
Chucky brings that face back much like the way a cat would bring back a kill as a prize to his master. So yes. I think that cats should be a little more appreciated, that Chucky shouldn't have killed that cat. I think at the end they should have been like, I don't know how it would have happened, but like as Karen and Andy are walking off, like the cat runs up and he's like, Andy Rooney. And she's like, wasn't it Mickey Rooney? He's like, no, I've renamed him. And in his new life.
In my own honor.
Well, like Andy's a great name. Right. So he should have been alive at the end. Then
this is when the kids find, because Andy sees the head on the watermelon, and then he brings in Fallon and Pug, and then they all know that.
So aside from like Shane thinking Andy was up to some asshole shit because of Chucky, aside from that, there is no way Andy comes out of this framed for murder, because not only do early on we get his other friends knowing what his doll did, but then there's a huge public massacre at the end of the movie that they can't blame on a young boy.
Right. The stuff where Andy looks suspicious is in the movie, but it's a much shorter section of the movie.
Exactly.
The first one.
Okay. So this is for Tupac. He leaves the face for Andy. Then we've got an actual very sort of fun mini element, like mini-sode, or just a suspense piece in its own right, of the wrapped head making its way as a present to Mike's mom, and just the sort of the suspenseful fake outs of like Karen wanting to walk it over and I want to open it now. And then there's the dinner scene where like Mike's holding it. And this is very like, you don't know how that would have played out. Like if they opened it, like you would assume maybe Andy would just get his friends to say no, like he didn't do it, but this is why. But he'd still be in huge trouble for like wrapping a head and trying to get rid of it. But that was a fun part of the movie because it extended over a couple scenes. And
again, just the movie just embracing this sort of crazy, gory. It's almost like gory farce at this point. It's like, the tone has shifted a lot. And this is why I very much enjoy the second half, because it's just like, this now doesn't feel like they're trying to remake Child's Play. It just feels like, its own crazy thing happening at this point.
So the second death is then the maintenance man who finds Chucky in the trash and brings him back to life with a new Iron Man chest core. And we learn, of course, he's installing cameras in the apartment so he can peep on Karen Barclay. So he's a pervert who kind of looks like Jack Black.
Pervy Jack Black. That's in my notes.
And what better punishment for perverts than to get their dick mangled up? That's usually how horror movies go. I think I'm trying to remember, was there a specific reason Chucky at this point killed this guy, or was it just that this is the moment Chucky reawakens and now he's just a maniacal bot?
Yeah, it's a little unclear because at first he's being kind of friendly with the guy, like when he's.
But also, like he's also very specifically targeting people who hurt Andy, and this guy is like violating Andy's mom's privacy.
Yeah, it's not quite as clear there what happens. Also, I was just thinking about there's been some for the last 3 years. There's been a lot of good people getting sawed deaths. There was a third. Okay, so I was thinking Child's Play, this movie, and the Mortal Kombat that just came out has a kind of buzzsaw.
Oh, at the sequence. Hat,
yeah. And then what the hell was my third one? Oh, Freaky. I don't know if you've seen Freaky.
I have seen.
Okay, yeah. So that is as well. Buzzsaw. All 3 movies, very very gory, visceral moment involving a buzzsaw. Like in this case, it like basically gets him in the crotch and then slices his leg off.
Yeah. Pretty good. Good B+ death for this guy.
And I do like how he makes the pipe hotter, so he'll
he has to drop. Well, both people in a very Saw trap like way, not a Saw pun here, but like with Shane trying to hold back the tiller and like this guy trying to prevent himself from falling on the saw, and like they just can't hold out. It's a lot like a Saw movie.
Yes, true.
Then we've got a whole thing where Chucky sort of tries to come back into Andy's life menacingly as a doll delivered to neighbor Omar, who takes this doll, names him Chode, and Andy finds out, though, that he is actually Chucky. He's not.
Right.
Who's worked his way back into his orbit.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you want to say before we get into the Zed Mart finale?
Before we get into the actual like gore of it all, I mean, this movie lightly, it's not like this is like digging deep, but it's obviously trying to be modern day and smart homes and consumerism, and this company kind of feels like Amazon a little bit. Caslin, who now owns this movie, Amazon owns both Child's Play movies, not the sequels, but like there's that part. Is it Fallon who has the line about it's like, the new doll's not even out, but they're selling accessories. So it's just like, it's doing its thing about consumerism, which the first one was doing, Don Mancini.
And there's Buddy Bear.
And the Buddy Bear, which is very funny, that there's going to be a bunch of new buddies that look different, different hair colors. And one of them is...
Well, we finally got a mixing of the My Buddies and the Teddy Ruxpins.
Yes. And that feels like... And it's funny because... as we've talked about, Chucky's actual visual appearance in the original movie and since was very, very clearly modeled after My Buddy. And in this movie, they literally call him Buddy. And we have also forgotten to talk about something that's very funny, which is the song. The "You Are My Buddy," which plays over the closing credits. Mark Hamill gets to fully perform.
That was I did like that rolling as the end credits. That was very good. Also, they're not... Oh God, what's the line? So he's not friend to the end. So it's "You Are My Buddy" to the end. Very similar.
They're clearly evoking these lines of dialogue without being dead on. Yeah, they're my friend and these. Yeah, there's it's similar stuff. He doesn't say the exact same catchphrases, but a lot of the things he's saying in the song, are.
And then a couple different characters at the end get their stab at reworking these lines for revenge purposes, where Mike gets the "this is the end" line, Karen gets the "don't fuck with my son," which is almost a little bit like "don't fuck with Chuck." Mm-hmm. But yeah, so we get into Zed Mart, the launch of the Buddy 2, and this is when Chucky goes full Bond villain and sort of gets super I don't know. He becomes more like a Freddy Krueger type character, trapping everyone in this store and trying to kill them. I'm assuming he put the razor blades on the drones, Eric, and they weren't razor blade drones to begin with.
I would hope so. Although again, if these things can turn off safety protocols so easily, maybe there's a unleash the razors setting as well.
I don't know, but I will say that, like, piggybacking off of your talk of the sort of the amusingly shocking gore of this movie, which is the employee with the buddy costume taking his mask off and just spurting blood all over the kid's face.
Over that little girl. Okay, so that I laughed so hard in the theater when that happened. I laughed again watching this movie a couple nights ago. I asked the director about this when I interviewed him. I remember because that, to me, I was actually kind of amazed they put that in the movie. I'm very happy they did. But what a moment. The guy who is stabbed stumbles out with his giant oversized head on, and when he pulls it off, just sprays blood. They told me they did one take with that kid. They didn't make her go through it over and over again. I also had forgotten that same guy, because he doesn't die. Mike's trying to save him and calling paramedics, but then he gets killed by the drones and they splatter more of his blood onto other people. So.
I was wondering, because I was like, do they have two employees who look the same? I was actually, thank you for telling me, it was the same guy who hadn't died yet. I thought it was just
I wasn't
guy.
clear about it. This time I made sure to kind of pay attention to see, okay, yeah, it's the same guy. Yeah.
Okay.
We did skip over, we mentioned it earlier, but we skipped over when Mike's mom is killed.
Killing Doreen. That's right.
It's notable to me that is the one non-graphic death, maybe because she's the one nice, totally innocent person, and they felt like, you wanted to get drawn out with the shitbirds, but yeah, the nice old woman, she's kind of stabbed off screen after her.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. She got terrorized, at least in the car, but yeah, I don't need multi-layered gore death,
skinning death. Yeah.
So big, they're all locked in the store. A big bloody massacre is happening at the end. This is also where we get our RoboCop cameo.
It's a generic police car, but the dead or alive are coming with me. Direct reference, and again, keeping it in the MGM family. So,
and then we get into a full arch villain scenario with the setting up Andy's mom to be lifted up to her hanging death by a forklift. It's just really elaborate. And that's where I think I'm wondering, where Chucky goes from just a killer bot to someone with creativity and design to not just physically harm people, but emotionally torture people. And it's,
I think, but it's all designed. I mean, the idea is, he feels scorned, right? Because he stops when Andy sings the buddy song. So it's he wants to be close to Andy so much, but when he feels that Andy has rejected him, now he's going to maliciously kill his mother in a drawn out way and do all this terrible stuff. But then he is briefly swayed by hearing that song again. So I think it's basically supposed to be a fatal attraction thing here almost, right?
Yeah.
If I can't have you, no one will.
I will say I appreciate the flipping of the script with that buddy song, because Chucky, one of Chucky's last resorts to try to stop him being killed by Andy in the first movie is to resort to being the doll that he thought it was his friend.
Right.
And it doesn't work. But here it's Andy who sort of gets into Chucky's head by doing the same sort of manipulation.
Right.
So it's flipped around, and I thought it worked. It was good. And then we've got, also keeping, I guess, with the Child's Play tradition, at least for the first three movies, the different levels of Chucky death, which is Chucky falls, Mike shoots him, but then finally the mom, rips off the head because he's not quite dead. Don't fuck with my son. Buddy song in the closing credits. Yeah, this was the strength of this movie was didn't lie within its ties to Child's Play. This movie would have worked great if, like you said, it didn't even look like Chucky, and it wasn't Chucky. It would have just been a different story. Or you could still have a single mom with her teen son.
Keep the name Chucky, but don't try to make him so closely evoke. Yeah, evoke the physical appearance, but then the tweak on it, which looks absolutely terrifying. It's funny because they try to couch it. They try to have Andy say, he's a little creepy when it's like, no, you would not want to take this thing out of the box. Like this is
that's awful looking.
Yeah. Other thing I wanted to mention was that they do the kids all destroy the doll together. They actually played up in the ads more than the movie itself, but I still think 100% it's in the movie at all is like Andy's band of kids because we're coming off Stranger Things and It Part 1. And so it's like the idea of a band of kids facing some legit horror together was, kind of in vogue. And so that's why, Andy gets this crew that, because I remember some of the commercials showed that shot of them when they destroyed the doll, but they made it seem like that would be a major part of the third act. It's like, we're going to team up to fight Chucky together, which is
none of them got on bicycles and rode out of town to like the outskirts or anything. So we didn't get any Goonies or anything like that, or It, or
although Andy is directly, it is specifically a reference to E.T. that he's wearing that red hoodie and looks very Elliot for much of the
Well, I mean, like if we want to tie it to the It movies, we've got David Katzenberg and Seth Graham-Smith, who I still owe money to for
my friend Seth,
a ticket to Salt,
which is really, and there's a lot of interest on that, Matt. So you owe him a lot of money.
There's
now
no interest on buying me a movie ticket to Salt.
I don't know.
What are you talking about? This isn't a Capital One card.
Right. But yeah, I remember talking to Seth when this was coming out. Yeah, I did the junket for this movie. I didn't talk to Seth at that. I talked to him at this earlier press thing, but interviewed the director, and I interviewed Brian Tyree Henry, and am I remembering all his names in there? Yes, and interviewed Aubrey and Gabriel. I call her by her first name because I've interviewed her a lot with Parks and Rec. And Legion, and her and Gabriel Bateman, and they were really fun together. They had a really good rapport. They clearly liked to give each other shit. And there was actually a bunch of videos from the set of this movie of a prank war, Matt, that was basically like the kids and Brian Tyree Henry.
I don't like it.
There was a lot of pranking going on.
I'm anti-prank.
All right. Well, they had fun pranking each other.
Well, I'm glad they had fun.
They had fun. Yeah, I like this movie. It was a tough road this movie had, and ultimately, it feels more hindered by trying to evoke the first one, because that second half is really fun when it kind of just goes off the rails in a purposeful, very fun way. And yeah, I was delighted by how gory it got. I was not expecting. I remember seeing it at the screening, kind of being, and that's right. I saw it with Jackie, who was working at IGN at the time, and I didn't even know her that well.
Jackie Jing, yeah.
But she asked. We sat together, and it turns out she is like hyper scared of horror movies, so she was like freak and gore, like just like stuff like that. So this was a tough one for her to get through.
Yeah, I mean, like the Chucky movies in general, even this remake, which is loosely Chucky, it still involves a little guy creeping around who's going to pop up and scare you and kill you. So
but yeah, it's a fun.
Who doesn't creep around and pop up and scare you and kill you? Cats. I'm here once again in the defense of cats.
I'm pro cats. I'm here. I adore my cats. This one's for you.
Jellicle all the way. Yeah.
Mickey, not Andy Rooney.
Rooney.
No, it's a fun remake. Certainly when I compare it to, say, something like Nightmare on Elm Street, it's a much better remake than some of them we've gotten. Not one of the very best, which I think are like Dawn of the Dead and Chainsaw Massacre. But it's a good, solid, in the middle one that I feel like, because Nightmare on Elm Street's one where we'll do these movies one day and we'll talk about it. It's like, that one I felt was really dragged down by how much they wanted to evoke the original. And like, let's do like her getting killed in the ceiling again. And let's do all these moments that you're just kind of like, I've seen this. And this thankfully does not try to repeat, like, here's the same death, but different. And that's where it kind of, finds its own rhythm. But yeah, if they could have just not had a doll in that jumpsuit and striped shirt. In
horror movies, they talk about the famous final girls a lot. But would you say Amanda Wyss is the most famous first girl?
First girl? Yes.
Her and Jaws, maybe.
Yeah, well, there's other famous ones, including Judith Myers. But Tina gets way more of a character than those other girls, because
she's in the movie longer than them, because they die in the opening minutes. Yeah.
Well, they play her more like Janet Leigh, where it's like it could be her movie. Like Nancy doesn't seem like the lead in some of the opening scenes. So I think Tina is up there. Hopefully we'll have Amanda on sometime. We can talk about that. But
well, we'd have her on for Shakma, of course. But yeah,
hell yeah, hell yeah.
All right. Speaking of Shakma, it's time to wrap this whole journey up. Thank you for going through all these Child's Play movies. We'll be back with actual 2 new movies released in theaters, Eric. That'll be our main event next week. I don't know what we're doing after that. We'll talk about it off camera, off recording. So until then, everything.
And thank you for coming on the Chucky journey all these weeks for us.
Oh yeah, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed recapping and reviewing and just spewing forth our thoughts about this franchise, this unique horror franchise that has the same creative force behind it for decades, which is sort of unheard of. And look, we still have something really cool to look forward to Chucky wise with the series coming out. So
insane and amazing.
Until then, everything is possible, but nothing is real. And Shakma.
Shakma.
Shakma!